I installed a second monitor in my flight simulator, and this video will show you how I did it. In part 1, I modified the monitor mounting bracket and attached it to this 1x8 board. Now we will paint the board, install the monitor, and configure Microsoft Flight Simulator X to run on 2 monitors. This is where we left off. Now I know all the components will fit correctly, so next I'll paint the board. I removed the mounting bracket and all components, but I left the T-nuts in place. I'm painting with tinted primer like I do with all my projects. After one side has dried, flip it over and paint the other side. The paint is dry to the touch, but it can still stick to the support boards when it sits overnight. So I'm putting a few screws between the boards to allow the paint to dry completely. I want a layer of masking tape or something similar between the new board and this attachment board. If I don't separate the two boards like this, the paint will stick the boards together almost like glue. Attach the board with deck screws. Test fit the monitor to make sure it fits correctly. You may or may not need an adapter for the monitor cable. This cheap little monitor only has a VGA plug. Now that the monitor cable and power are hooked up, we can slide the monitor into place and turn on the computer. The operating system should be smart enough to recognize the second monitor. If not, right-click the desktop and choose Screen Resolution. You may need to prompt the operating system to detect the monitor. I recommend setting the large screen as Display 1. Also select Extend these displays here. You know it's working correctly if you can drag a window from one monitor to another. Start Microsoft FSX. For this example, I'll use the default G1000 Beechcraft Baron. Select the 2D cockpit view. Right-click just above the instrument panel and select Close Window. Next, select Shift-4 to show the primary flight display in a more manageable shape. Now I can left-click and drag it over to the smaller monitor. I also drag the edges to resize the window. I do the same thing with the multifunction display. I also like to display the landing gear panel because it shows the elevator trim setting. I love using my Cytec trim wheel, and I need to see the trim setting for takeoff. Now, a quirky thing about this setup is that even if you save the flight and exit, FSX will not save the locations of the instruments. The next time you start the flight, the instruments will have to be moved and resized again. If you use TrackIR, a second monitor can still help you. Here I have the virtual cockpit on the main screen and the flight instruments on the small monitor, and it works quite well. It was a great experience to add a second monitor to my flight simulator, and I hope your project goes well too.